So I am super duper excited. This is the Jingmai Gulan 2021 from Farmer Leaf. So not an aged Shing, but it is a new Shing. I can't imagine drinking a 2022 Shing right now, but 2021 fairly fairly new. Also, it's important to note that the Gulan is the flagship tea from Farmer Leaf, and I often talk about the story being as important as the tea itself. And in this case, that is very much the case. This flagship tea is a combination of what they consider the best leaves, not only for aroma but for taste and everything else in between. So take a quick look at the cake. Um, Really a much darker green than what I expected. Um, but as you'll see in a moment, the liquor is very green, almost a jade green. The other thing is that there's not a very strong aroma, and I've heard the young man from Farmer Leaf talk on his YouTube channel about the Jingmai tea leaves and tea trees, and the aroma is never um, what you're going for, right? With these teas, it is a very faint but very sweet aroma. I mean, you have to really get your nose in and really try to. I can't even try because as soon as you do get anything at all in your nose, it's gone like that. So trying to pick out what the smell is super difficult. I'm really hoping that I'm able to get something from the wet leaf. I'm sure I will. I've also been playing around with the cold brew for the past day. I've been pulling it out of the fridge every so often and trying to see if I can get any sort of aroma from the bottle here. And yeah, I can't get anything. But again, the cold brew is a very light brew, very lime green. Unfortunately, it may not come through on the camera so much, but it reminds me of, it's not as neon green as the Taiwanese oolongs, but it is very green, which is something that you'd expect from a spring picking that again is fairly new. Also important to note that the leaves have completely unfurled themselves in the cold brew, and so we ought to be able to get every bit of flavor that we can out of this thing. Go ahead and also it's important to note I am super hungry. I don't have anything on my belly, but I did not want to start eating and have that um, change my palate because I have fish, which is quite spicy and has a lot of sauces and stuff like that. And so I was really worried um, that it was going to throw off my palate for this tasting, and especially because this is such, for me anyway, such an important tasting because, like I said, I followed Farmer Leaf on his YouTube channel for quite some time now, and I really appreciate not only his knowledge, but um, his generosity in allowing his viewers to really kind of peer into his life a little bit, because he takes you through his day. He shows you like, how he processes the tea. Um, and he does such a great job. I mean, even just the production quality on his videos has improved tenfold over the years, and I really appreciate that. And so I wanted to make sure I gave his flagship tea the respect it deserves from a fan, right? So here we go. Again, very sort of, I don't know, yellowish um, in the bowl here. All right, let's taste this. Oh, and by the way, there is a like zero plant material in the cold brew, which is interesting. So it's a very clean picking here. Oh wow, wow, wow. Oh wow. Hardly any bitterness, which you don't expect from a brand new Pu-erh. That's crazy. You know, there's just enough bitterness to set off some fireworks in your mouth. And the sweetness is very reminiscent of that. I want to use a word here because it comes and it leaves really fast. So it's sort of a elusive um, sweetness that you taste, but it's gone. Very refreshing cold brew. I love this. Tastes so good. It so reminds me of the Taiwanese oolongs. Of course, it's not as milky and creamy as those oolongs, but I'll say it is as sweet for sure. And again, there's a little bit of bitterness there, but not a lot at all. Um, not as much as I get out of some of the Darjeelings or the Taiwanese oolongs. And that's another thing too that I did sort of kind of smell yesterday when I was sniffing from the cold brew bottle. It did sort of remind me of the Darjeeling black teas first flush, which is very sweet, very light, very green. But it's not a Darjeeling first flush. Um, and that's coming from someone who just I shiver in pure delight when I taste those Darjeeling first flushes. I mean, they just oh so good. Just thinking about it makes me shiver. So it's not quite there, but in the realm of puers though, it's awesome. I love it. And usually I go for the aged things because of that really grassy, strong flavor that you get with the new puers. And this one just doesn't have any of that. So the other thing that I'm really interested in is because, you know, purchasing, a tong of this and then keeping it for, however long it takes you to drink through it, right? Will age over time. But I wonder if you want a stronger tea at the beginning for the age to work, or is it that you choose something good now, right? And then maybe the flavor changes as it ages. So very interesting to think about. So far, this is my favorite, no question about it. Um, but let's see what the hot brew brings us. Excited about that now. And I'm gonna do this like I've done everything else, is I'm gonna hit it really hard, but brew it really fast, and then I'll kind of play around with temperature and time after that. And I try to keep it as whole as possible, but I can't quite get it in the bowl, so I'm going to break it just a little bit here. Um, and another thing about this cake is it is really easy to break apart. You know, it's not fragile at all, but not super, hard. So um, I'm curious to see what that means for longevity. Again, so far, I can't say enough good things about the cold brew. It is everything that I want in a tea, no question about it. It is a wonderful, wonderful mouthfeel, wonderful, wonderful sweetness. The only thing I'll say is missing is um, maybe having that those aromatics, right? All right, so we're gonna do a quick wash here, and I am so excited about this. I'm gonna let that breathe, and so the wash is here, um, really about the same color as the cold brew, which is interesting. I say below average plant material. So again, just a very clean cake. I think that has something to say about the quality of the pickings. Again, this is the flagship uh, tea that, from my understanding, is taken from different gardens, different trees, just to try to get like the perfect balance. All right, so let's smell this thing here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave this out much longer because right away the first volatiles you get just what I call storage, and it's it's the same smell that I smell with every hot wet leaf as far as puers go anyway. And so you really have to have that go away before you can really get anything underneath. Really gonna cool these off, and it might only happen after a few infusions too, when everything really just opens up because it hasn't quite opened up yet, as you can see there. Cake is pretty much still intact. It's starting to come apart, but oh, I got something. Oh man, I want to say limoncello. It's like pudding almost, but it's sort of tart, you know? Yeah, it's like sort of pudding, sort of tart, maybe custard, I think is a good one. Oh man. All right, so yeah. We're definitely gonna run through some infusions and get these leaves to open up some more, see what we can get out of this thing. I'm excited. Yeah, man, that's what I'm getting. Like lemon pudding. And now that I'm talking about lemon pudding, and I'm so hungry right now, I want lemon pudding. And I haven't had pudding in a very, very long time. Partly because I'm not sure what pudding even is. It's something I ate as a kid, and I do like it. I've had it maybe a few times as an adult, but it's not something that I typically purchase or make for myself. All right, so as always, not really doing a count here, just really looking at the leaves and really just wanting to see them just open up um, more and more as we go through these infusions. And I am agitating the bowl quite a bit too, trying to break that cake up. All right, they breathe. See what we get. See what we get. Mm. Oh, I'm so excited. This is it's definitely pudding. Definitely pudding. Whether it's straight up lemon pudding or some sort of mixture of vanilla and lemon, something like that. It's definitely not banana. Um, it's definitely not like a red fruit or anything. It's for sure really high, pitched, you know, uh, but but it's not orange either. Um, and it's such a it's such it's such a great aroma, but it's so fading. Like it goes away so fast. Like you want to keep it just and you're trying and you're trying and you're trying and just it just goes. It's done, you know? Man, it's frustrating. All right, so uh first infusion, yeah, quite a bit of plant material. So um not as clean as I initially thought, but again, that's because the cake is really starting to break up and the leaves are really coming apart. So anyway, so there's the color. Again, I would say it's really yellowish. Uh, yeah, really yellowish. Really like an apple juice type of deal. Kind of dark, like a cider, maybe. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Oh, I don't know what to say. Got some bitterness there, not too much, but it's enough that if it's enough that I think if I brewed this for a long time with hot water, it'll be too much bitterness. But I'm not getting that sweetness. And being that I've already had the cold brew, I know why I'm not getting the sweetness, right? And it's because this tea just needs more to pull out that that sugar. And that's the reason why the cold brews are so effective because it's like a time release where everything slowly dissolves into the water. And so you don't get um, any of the volatile bitterness that you're getting with the hot brew right away. Um, and it allows that those sugars to come out, over time, right? And so with the hot brew, and it's there, but it's very much an undertone, very much an undertone, very much so, so much that when you drink this, it's like okay, it's bitter, but nothing else. And the other thing is that at the outset, right, at the very first sip, it's like water. Like there's nothing there at all. And then you get the bitterness. So I'm definitely gonna have to play around with steeping times and temperatures. At this point, I imagine that I'm probably going to get what I want out of it if um, well, you know what? First of all, let me do this because I I never want to judge. I don't like to judge. I like to test and see. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit this with hot water and I'm gonna steep it as long as I can stand and just see if I'm right in my assertion that it's gonna be too bitter, right? Because who knows? I mean, I think I tasted the tea just recently that you think that by putting uh, really hot water for a long time, it's going to be super bitter, but doesn't always happen that way. So see what we get here. And again, like I said, the cake is still. Before I do that, let me smell this again. I can tell that I'm somewhat burning the leaves too. But yeah, definitely definitely a creamy pudding thing going on, and definitely something like a something like a lemon. Definitely not orange. Definitely not banana, and it's definitely not just vanilla. Um, but it's something in the realm underneath a lemon. So it's not as tart as a lemon, but it's there, you know. And so I'm looking at this bowl, and it appears that everything has unfurled for the most part. Um, the cake itself is somewhat still intact, and it's in the middle of the bowl here. But after this infusion, I'm sure that it's going to all have come apart by then. And then I'll be playing around with maybe, who knows, we'll see, but maybe lower temperatures and longer steeping times. Okay, this is it always bugs me. You know, I purposely don't use timers because I really want to feel for this, right? And my patience, I think that's as much as I can take. Can't can't wait any longer, you know? Right. And I'm gonna see if I can get all of the liquid out of there, just so that not only do I have a better wet leaf to smell, but also so that I don't mess with any future infusions here. All right, so here's usually it's best when I let it air out. Let's see. Yep. So let's let that air out. And while we're at it, show you those leaves look like now. So I have a big bowl of tea. Excited about that. And of course, this means more water, means more tea. And so this would be the, oh, that was nice. A little different. What, like third infusion, I believe, something like that. I don't recall. Yeah, much darker, much darker. You know, we have gone past it. Before we were kind of like at a apple juice, almost cider, and now I think we have past cider, and we're going more towards something like almost a brandy, not quite a cognac, but getting there for sure. Definitely getting there. And yeah, so below average plant material, is there, but not a lot. So again, sure, all that is gonna change with the infusions, but it is a really clean tea, really is, which means we're dealing with maybe younger younger leaves. Yeah, pretty small. And we do see small twigs. I think that's about an average leaf there. Oh yeah, now it's really coming out. Oh yeah, definitely for sure. Like I said, limoncello is the word that comes to mind. Um, but yeah, it's not quite custard, but that pudding, just the straight up store bought in a box pudding, um, is the aroma I'm getting. All right, let's see what we got on taste here. Okay, so yeah, definitely dialed up the bitterness, but I'm trying to what I'm trying to and listen, and it's not too bitter either. So um, there's something to be said about that. Also, too, there's an aftertaste now that wasn't in the infusions before, and it's a really nice aftertaste. The bitterness really stays on your tongue, um, but it's not overpowering, and there is there's just something there that I know even I've only taken a couple sips, but I just know I'm never going to be able to figure out what that aftertaste is. Um, but it's something. But what I'm trying to figure out too, though, is the earlier infusions. You tasted basically water and then a little bit of bitterness. And so now what's happening is I'm not getting that water taste right away. Instead, what's seeming to happen is not only have I increased the bitterness uh, by using hot water and steeping it for a long time, but I've also increased um, or decreased rather the amount of time it takes for that bitterness to really hit. And so almost immediately it touches your tongue. There's something there, but not something I can really make out. And then bitterness, right? So um, so far not a bad tea as far as the hot brew goes. Um, but definitely I'll say that this tea requires I would say lower temperature water because the cold brew is amazing. Again, I can't say enough great things about it. I mean, it is everything I want in a tea. It really is. And again, I love the Taiwanese oolongs, the Jin Chuans, the milk oolongs, and it is somewhat reminiscent of that, not quite there. I love the Darjeeling First Flush black teas, and it is similar to that, but not quite there. But it's in the building, it's in the room with those guys for sure, and that is good for me when you're talking about a Shane, especially like I said, such a young Shane, and I'm going to be asking around and getting an understanding of how aging works because I'm curious as to, if I were to purchase this for aging, um, can it improve or will it just change? You know what I mean? I don't know, but it is great right now. It really is. All right, so I think the water's cooled off um, enough. Let's see. Not really. I'll let it cool a little bit more. Oh man, the aromatics on this is great. It really is. It really is. Because I can do this. It's just hard. It's just hard to really pin down what you're smelling, but what you're smelling is sweet and really good.